Canada is famous for hockey and poutine, but what do we really know about its beer?
I didn't know they played hockey in Canada.
He's Keith Jones. He's Mike Sielski. I'm Glen Macnow. We're at Puddler's Kitchen and Tap for an all-new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.
Hey, welcome to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow, joined by my radio partner, Mike Sielski, and special guest, Keith Jones, president of the Flyers. When did that happen?
May something.
Wow.
I'm not sure of the exact date, but it's here.
All right. I haven't fired you yet.
Not yet.
All right. Well,
He's
there you
working
go.
on it.
Yeah, delighted to have these two guys with me today, and we have a special announcement coming up on this show. But first, we always start with our beer swap, and because Keith is from Brantford, Ontario, we decided we're going to swap Canadian beers, and here's what I brought, guys. This is Le Fin du Mont by, I don't know if you pronounce it Unibrow, but that's how it's spelled. This is a very potent triple IPA. Ooh. Yeah, made like Trappist monk triples. Very Belgian, very yeasty, very aromatic, kind of sweet and spicy. The first of its kind actually brewed in North America. Here's to you.
Cheers, guys.
Here's to you. There you
Cheers,
go.
Mike.
I think this is a really excellent beer. I also think a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be hard to have a bunch of these.
It would be hard to have a bunch of these. Mike, what did you bring?
So I brought with me from Collective Arts and Agency, Two Ways New England IPA. It's about 6.6%. Very fruit-forward IPA. I'm not a big IPA guy myself.
I am.
I know you are, Glenn.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to drink an IPA, I want it to be kind of citrusy, and this is very citrusy. Of course, you think of Canada when you think of citrus, and this has really got a lot of pineapple, grapefruit to it. I really like it. Cheers.
You know what? I would drink this. I like this. I've never heard of Collective Arts before this, but I like
it. I taste grapefruit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
That's exactly, and
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what they want you to taste. And look at the label; it's kind of cool. It's got that like red wolf. It looks like
Very
a
nice.
hockey jersey, honestly. Jonesy.
So I think we've covered all of the important Canadian beers. Keith?
That is not correct. Molson Canadian.
Oh,
Grew up.
Is this all
grew
the
up
stuff?
with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this all the
Yep.
stuff you drank when you were growing
Very
up?
much. Glenn had it as well.
yeah,
I know he
grew up
did in
Buffalo,
Buffalo.
New York. So what were you
Labatt
drinking?
Blue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Moosehead
Ooh,
Lager. Now, I
now.
loved the label as a kid, probably more than the beer itself, but I did love the label.
All right, so these are kind of all Canadian lagers. Actually, one's a Pilsner, but I think people view them similarly. We're going to do a blind taste test.
Okay, great.
And decide what we like best. So bear with me. I don't know what's what. Andrew Colligan, who runs this joint, is going to tell us what's what. This is just B, so I don't know what B
Okay.
is. Let's try B.
Okay.
All right. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it's a really pleasant kind of beer. I like it. There are a little bit of
easy.
differences among you. I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's an easy beer.
Yeah,
Right.
There's not a
Yeah.
lot of aftertaste.
Yep. All of these are kind of that. Molson's a little sweeter. Again, we're just kind of tasting the 3. Here you go. This is A. All right, as we do
As a
it.
good Canadian, it's hard to waste the rest of it.
Yeah.
Beer,
Well, you know what? After the show, you can just sit around and
Okay.
pound all of this
Thank
stuff.
you very
We
much.
go through a lot of beer
Thank
on the
you.
show.
Very similar.
Very similar. To me, the first one had a little bit more of a bite afterward. It's a little bit gentler. All right.
Man, they are close though.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
I know. They are.
Scary.
And this is
Thank
C.
you.
There you go. All right.
All right. A little more to it. It's got a little more bite.
All right,
I
wait.
feel
We
like.
tasted them BAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so we remember that. Okay. Here we go. Let's decide. What's our vote? Give me your 1, 2, 3.
So I liked A, which was the second one we drank, then B, then C. So A is my number 1.
Oh, you're wrong.
Okay.
All right. Keith, what do you got?
I could be wrong.
C was the last one we had?
Yeah.
I liked C, and then A and B were very similar to me. I'll say A.
All right, but C was your favorite.
Yes.
C was my favorite. I went C, B, A. All right, so what's C?
C. Moosehead Canadian Lager.
Moosehead Canadian
Yeah.
Lager. There
Sure,
you
you're
go.
growing up there,
Yep.
Jonesy.
And
So I like the beer as much as the label.
There's the label.
Yeah,
All right.
good.
So C is the winner. The other two kind of tied. You like A the best? What was A?
Molson Canadian.
Molson
Yeah.
Canadian. Well, I
Respectable.
drank a lot of that over the years, and we apologize to Labatt's Blue because it didn't quite.
Funny they were both so similar, though, right? Those
are
are the two major competing
Right. There's
Canadian
him. So
beers. Right?
Labatt's is a Pilsner, which is actually a kind of lager named after the Czech city Pilsen. I don't want to go too into the weeds
Everybody
here.
knows that.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, but it's a little more hop forward, but there you go. But they were all good. All right, coming up, we have a major announcement, something we think you're going to really love, and looking forward to a great project. With Mike Sielski and Keith Jones, I'm Glen Macnow. We're at Puddler's Kitchen and Tap, owned by Conshohocken Brewing Company in Bridgeport, for What's Brewing.
When you vacation in Montgomery County, PA, your money worries get a vacation too.
Oh, you gotta get your value.
Feel free to explore the soldiers' huts.
Free?
$4, that's it? Keep the lettuce coming, Diane.
Parking is free!
Hey, it's free!
With so many affordable things in Montgomery County, go ahead. Freak out.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow. This is my radio partner and Inquirer columnist, Mike Sielski. This guy's Keith Jones. You know who he is. He's president of the Flyers. And we are delighted. We're here at Puddler's Kitchen and Tap. We're delighted now to make an announcement. Actually, you know what? Let's open these Ring the Bells for a little bit of a celebration. Because Conshohocken Brewing has done some charity beers in recent years with some sports figures, Marilyn Mike. We did one with Fransky in LA, Mark Zumoff. On November 10th, 11th, right around there, we are releasing Jonesy Hockey Lager. And Keith Jones, thanks for making this happen.
Happy to do it, guys. Thanks for asking. I'm really appreciative of that. Cheers.
So Jonesy, I got to ask. After the fourth overtime of Game 4 in 2000 in Pittsburgh, did you ever think you'd have a beer named after you?
I could have used a beer that night, Mike. There's no doubt about that. I think everybody in the arena could have used a beer that night. Hopefully, they'll be drinking Jonesy Beer at a playoff game in Philadelphia in the near future that the Flyers are playing in.
Jonesy Beer is going to be a great project. As I said, it's a lager beer. It's an easy drinking beer. You're looking at the label right here. And to help us, we have with us, this is Blair Listino, who is the Executive Vice President of Comcast Spectacor, Assistant Governor of the Flyers, or Alternate Governor of the Flyers, excuse me, and Chairman of Flyers Charities. First of all, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And second of all, we're delighted to have this project. Money from Jonesy Beer is going to go to Flyers Charities. Tell us a little bit about the organization.
So the organization has been around for 40 plus years. As many people know, the Flyers organization has always been very involved in the community, and the charity really has three pillars. The first pillar is from the start of the organization, and that is supporting families, local families that have been impacted by cancer. The second pillar is growing the game of hockey in our local community to a new diverse audience. And the third pillar is really looking through a lens of sustainability and environmental responsibility in all the events that the Flyers charity does.
Listen, this is great. So you said the organization has been around for 45 years. So this is when I've gone to the Flyers Carnival and so on. I scored a goal on Bernie like 40 years ago. So that was.
We still do shots on goal at the carnival. I always volunteer at that area because it's one of the areas that fans get
Blair,
most excited
is
about.
there any truth to the rumor that there was a clause in Jonesy's contract as president that he would have to do the dunk tank at the carnival every year.
Yes, every year.
Okay.
And for the entire carnival, so the full 6 hours were there.
I better get to the gym, I can tell you that. I didn't know that was in my deal, but I'll have to
You got to look at the fine print, man.
So, Jonesy, the beer is going to be a lager. We're calling it a hockey lager.
Yeah.
It's a good...
Hardy.
Yeah, well, it's going to be like
Yeah.
around in the 5% range.
Nice.
So, like, you can drink it, tailgate kind of beer.
Good.
Enjoy it before, during, after a game.
And just, you know, and Mike kind of asked you this question, but I do want to ask you. It's going to be your picture on a can.
Yeah,
name
it's really
on a
cool.
can. Just
Yeah,
kinda
it's really
your
awesome.
thoughts
Yeah.
about that?
There's been a lot of crazy things have happened to me in my life, and
Yeah.
this is another one.
There
So
you go.
we'll add it to the list, and I'll drink a beer to that.
There you go. Or drink a few.
Yeah.
So what's the transition to the job as president of the Flyers been like?
Remarkably, it's felt kind of natural, which is kind of crazy in itself. But it's been cool. It's been busy. I often tell people I went from having one child to having 150. So you know how it goes when you have 1, 2, or 3. It's just keep adding it up. So there's a lot on your mind all the time. The wins and losses matter again, which is a pretty cool feeling. And I just really want to do a great job for our fans here in Philadelphia. I've been around the community for a long time, and I know how much it means to them.
Yeah, again, and kind of piggybacking off of how these things happen, you got traded to the Flyers from Washington?
No, from Colorado.
From Colorado,
Yeah,
excuse
from
me.
Colorado.
Back in 1990.
7, 98, somewhere in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who the hell knew that this was
I
all
remember
gonna...
landing when I was coming on the plane the night of my arrival. I'm looking around. I could see all the lights of the city. I would go, man, this place is big. It's bigger than I thought it was. And
Yeah.
I'd been here obviously as a visitor with the Capitals and the Avalanche, and I was just like, I wonder what this adventure is going to be like. So it's been pretty good so far.
Well, you can't be more invested than the guy who runs the franchise and now, in fact, the guy who's going to be
Thanks to you guys.
the partnership with Conshohocken Brewing Company and the beer. And so, Blair, let's talk about on, let me get the date right, November the 29th, which is a Wednesday night, the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, here at Puddler's Kitchen and Tap. We're going to have an event, a party to celebrate the release of Jonesy's Beer. You're going to be here, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Jonesy's going to be here.
I wouldn't miss it.
All right, Mike, you're going to be here.
I will be here.
Okay. We're going to have all kinds of celebs and so on. We're going to have auction items. We're going to have, you know, the Jonesy Beer is going to be ready to go. And Blair, I think we're gonna make a big time of it.
We are, and all the proceeds go to Flyers charities. It can't get better than that. And I thank you for choosing Flyers charity for your
course,
beer.
Blair.
That's very exciting.
Again, in his contract, right?
Yeah, in his contract. Yeah.
There you go. So everybody, clear the date. Wednesday, November 29th. Come out to Puddler's Kitchen and Tap in Bridgeport. Easy to find, right across the bridge from Norristown. It's going to be a big party, charity event. We're going to the launch of Jonesy Beer, and money goes to Flyers charities. Blair, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Jonesy,
You got to stick around another segment.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
Mike?
glad Blair visited those.
There you go. Absolutely. You know what?
certainly improve the
Classed up the show.
class up the show a little bit.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
We're going to be back with more on What's Brewing.
Hey, Ben. Sorry, Glenn.
Hi, Andrew Colligan, purveyor of fine Conshohocken Brewing Company beer. I find myself in a bit of a quandary, Andrew. I love Conshohocken Brewing Company beer, but which one is my favorite? Ooh, I do love Type A IPA.
Our #1 selling beer for a reason.
Yes, and Hazy Life Coach IPA. Oh, this one is delicious.
Hazy, juicy goodness.
And wonderful, and who wouldn't love that? Who doesn't love Ring the Bell American Lager?
The perfect choice to pair with our Philly sports teams or anytime.
You know what? I think it's Ring the Bell for me, but now the question is, what's the right quantity?
I think I might have something perfect for you. Ring the Bell 12-pack.
Why, you've nailed it. Now available in convenient 12-ounce 12-packs at any beer store near you. This is wonderful. But how will all of this fit on the back of my horse?
Welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow. This is Mike Sielski. This is Keith Jones. We are Puddler's Kitchen and Tap, owned by Conshohocken Brewing Company. It is one of the Montco Makers partners. Make sure you log in and get their passport. What are you drinking?
I am drinking the Type A IPA from here at Conshohocken Brewing Company. As I said earlier, not a huge IPA guy generally, but I like these IPAs not quite as bitter. I don't know what you guys do, but it works for me.
Appreciate that. What about you?
I have Life Coach Hazy IPA, and it's very good, Glenn.
And chances are you could use
I
it.
can't describe it as well as Mike does, but
Well, I get
I'm
paid
really,
to use
I'm,
words,
I'm
Jonesy.
really enjoying it.
But you could use a life coach.
Yeah.
Correct.
There you go. And I'm drinking one of my favorites. This is the ESB, the Puddlers.
Very nice.
Which I love this beer. Okay, every week we do our photo challenge this year. At the end of the year, we're going to have a big party at Ship Bottom Brewery, all of the winners. And we asked you a few weeks ago for a picture of multi-generational drinking, and we got some great ones. This is Chris Patton with his two brothers and is eating oysters and drinking beer with his 86-year-old dad. Good stuff, Chris. You're coming to the party. Arlene McCann says, I have so many photos of my grandmother and sharing a beer. She loves to come here and drink the good beer, she says. There's one of her, and there's one of her and her grandmother, known as Mutz, drinking beer at Philly Spring Training. One more, this is Fred Reese. He's got 4 generations at the Jersey Shore and a Crooked Hammock Brewery in Delaware. Fred's the guy in the middle with the big white beard and the tie-dye shirt. I want to hang with Fred. All right. This week, we're asking for a picture of you drinking beer with a famous person. So, if you look at the screen now, this is a picture of me drinking beer with Steve Coates and Brian Propp. Jones, you've probably done that once or twice.
I've had many beers with those two gentlemen, actually.
can tell a story.
More with Steve Coates than anybody else.
By the way,
in my life.
Coatesy is one of those with the rare talent. He can drink a beer standing on his
I've seen
head.
it.
You have seen
He
it?
can do a handstand and chug a beer. Yes, that is a true story.
It's really impressive. Here's me with Mike Quick and Phil Martelli. I enjoyed their company. Mike Sielski, what do you got?
Well, I don't have any photos of me drinking a beer with a famous person until now. So, Glenn, get out of the way.
Get out of there.
Let me grab my beer.
Come on, Mikey.
Here we go. Together. Well, got to flip it. There we are. And there's my pick with my
Nicely
famous person.
done. All right. Well done. Send your pictures to my social media at Real Glen Macnow or the show at What's Brewing on Twitter. You can find us, send us your picture, and you could win a chance to go to the party. All right, we got a couple minutes with you, Keith. I want to ask you a few questions kind of about the direction of the franchise. We know it's a rebuilding effort.
Yep.
And a lot of people here went through the Sixers process, which was kind of 4 years of, we're not even going to try.
Yeah.
Yours different than that? How
It
is yours
is.
different than that?
We're going to try. We're never going to tank. I can guarantee you that. We want our players to play the game the right way. And we want to, at the same time, keep an eye on the future by continuing to add talent to our core. I'm very pleased with the way things have gone so far in a very short time. I like our locker room. I like the guys that are in it. And then we're going to continue to add pieces to it. But we're going to keep our fans informed of what we're doing along the way. We want to make sure we communicate with them. We want to make sure that we're available. So that's kind of the plan.
Good.
One of the things that's a balance that's difficult to strike in a rebuild is veterans who can kind of show the way versus getting young guys playing time so that they can develop. What's your thinking about that and how you guys are handling it?
Yeah, it is a balancing act. There's no question about that. As long as the young guys are performing well when they're in the lineup, there's a measure of accountability that they have to meet. They've been meeting it so far. Some guys like Bobby Brink came in and had a great camp for us and has, obviously increased his position within the organization. If you perform well, you're going to have a chance to play. And when you get that chance to play, you want to continue to perform well. We've got some young guys that are doing that. And there'll be some veteran players that if they don't, play up to their expectations, are going to take a seat once in a while and allow another younger player to continue to develop under our control.
The big kind of news in the offseason, or one of the big pieces of news, was the draft of Mishkov, the Russian kid, who is just this spectacular generational talent. Do you have any sense of when he might be able to come?
Well,
what's your optimistic
Yeah, I would say
sense?
at the very least, it could be the 3-year time period, which we're fine with. I think it kind of set a target for where we want to be at in 3 years. We want to make sure we have the right pieces around him. We want players that we're recruiting to want to be here because of his arrival at the same time. It kind of gives us a good a base to kind of play off of. If he arrives earlier, that would be wonderful. We're open for anything in that regard.
Come on in.
But we look forward to seeing him in a few years and trying to continue to build around him.
What's been the biggest adjustment for you going from working in the media, not just in Philadelphia, obviously, but nationally and internationally, to taking on a leadership position in a franchise?
Yeah, I miss being in the media. I really enjoyed that job. I had a great time doing it.
Yeah.
The biggest difference is wins and losses. Now I'm angry. I'm angry when we lose. I'm angry if we didn't win properly. There's certain things that you had, feelings that you had when you lost a game.
Explains why you cursed me out when you came in.
Exactly. I'm after you.
It might have been something else, but we won't get into that.
I have new enemies now. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's probably the biggest difference. Just how you feel, and it's a great feeling to have. I've missed that. I haven't had it since I retired from playing. Doing the television and doing the radio in the mornings was all great, but there was no real measuring stick. There was nothing that made you feel uncomfortable after. This gets you in that position.
You're invested.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, fully invested, no doubt.
This last question. When you were named, it caught a lot. I think it caught everybody by surprise.
Sure.
Do you ever look back, and we kind of asked you this question last segment, but the guy who came here as a player, stuck around, worked in the media, did the morning show, kept Angelo Cataldi on the air for these years. Let's face it, we know what the talent was on that show.
Jonesy
What
had a
made
strong
it work.
back
I don't
from
like
6
to
to 10
brag,
every
Glenn.
morning.
I don't like to brag.
I'll do it for you. We know, Jonesy, you kept Angelo employed, let's be honest. And then ended up doing TV, and then here you are. Do you like wake up in the morning and go like, how the hell did I get here?
I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the people that helped me get to this position. Angelo was one of those guys. That was the first real job I had after I retired from playing. A big reason why I stayed in the area. If I wasn't working, what was I going to do here? Mm-hmm. So that's there's a long list of people that have helped me in that regard. I don't forget them. And of course, our fans are why I'm here as well. They're the reason I was doing television and radio, because they listened and apparently enjoyed me. So I'm hopefully they enjoy me in this role.
Well, Keith Jones, we enjoyed having you today. We are really excited about Jonesy Beer coming out from Conshohocken Brewing, benefiting Flyers charities. Mike, you're sticking around?
I am.
All right, nice to see you. Keith,
Cheers,
thanks
guys.
so much,
Thank
man.
you for having me. Great to see you.
Thank you so much, Keith. And we'll be back. Andrew Colligan, who helps run this joint, is going to talk about the beers here at Puddler's Kitchen and Tap next on What's Brewing.
So, what do you want to do today? Today, I want to run. I want to skate.
Thank you.
I want to see a show. I want to play. I want to eat. Like a lot. I want to sleep in a hotel. Can we do all that?
We can do all that and more.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow. This is my radio partner, Mike Sielski, author of the book on Kobe Bryant, The Rise, which you should read. Now in paperback.
Yeah, don't read it. Just buy it.
Okay.
Just buy it. I have mouths to feed.
All right, this is Andrew Colligan, head of sales for Conshohocken Brewing Company. You've seen him on the show. You've seen him on the goofy commercial we do. And we're going to talk about these beers that we make right here. So I have the Hazy Life Coach.
You do indeed, yes.
I love this beer. Why should I care about this beer, other than I love it?
Well, that's a big part of it, obviously, but not to mention it's also one of our best-selling beers, and we love talking about it as much as possible. Hazy IPAs are big. They're in. Everybody absolutely loves them. And actually, we're going to talk about two of them today that are our two best sellers, and one's a brand new one from us as well. So.
Okay, all right.
And I have the Ring the Bell Pilsner, which is maybe my favorite beer. Tastes like bread, which I mean in the best way possible.
Sure.
How did you guys get it to taste this way?
Well, so Ring the Bell being our American lager, really the star of that show a lot of times is that malted barley, right? So 4 ingredients go in every beer. We talked about a lot on the last couple episodes about home brewing, water and yeast, and then that malted barley being such a big part of it. Bready, earthy notes, just really light, roasty, a little bit of biscuit, just very, very, an awesome mouthfeel, really easy drinking beer. So
that's why I like it.
Yeah, perfect one to have all year round.
So this lager that we make is lager. How do I want to say it? Lagers are important. Lagers have kind of made more than a comeback. They're a big part of it, and Philadelphia is a big part of the history of that.
Oh, you weren't kidding. Yeah. So if you want to talk about the first ever lager brewed in America, Philadelphia, the birthplace of freedom, of so many things, and also the first birthplace of of lagers as well. So, yeah, John Wagner in 1840.
Take that, Canada.
We love you, Jonesy, but copycat. Go on.
Hey, we love our Canadian lagers, love our neighbors to the north. But yeah, American lagers are just such a fantastic, ubiquitous beer in America, right? People, a lot of times Americans, we like to have a couple of them, whatever the occasion, all year long, whether it's in Philadelphia or whatever you're doing. So a light, easy drinking lager like our Ring the Bell. It's crisp, it's refreshing, it's under 5% alcohol. It's one you can sit down and have multiple at a time, which is another beautiful reason why we put it into 12 packs of 12-ounce cans as opposed to just having our usual 16-ounce cans in 4 packs.
Tell us a little bit more about what you're drinking and kind of the IPA there that you've got.
Indeed. So I actually brought one of our newest additions to our lineup here. This is our POW Juice.
POW, P-O-W?
P-O-W, yeah. I think when you look at that can design, which I think should be right up front here.
Looks like old Batman.
Right, yeah.
Comic books, and this one's big and bold, right? So let's contrast that with Life Coach, our hazy IPA, which is on the lighter side, 5.2%, uses almost all one hop exclusively, Citra, which is purposely made to give citrus and lemon, lime, and grapefruit notes.
Yep.
But it's very light, very easy drinking. Certain ones you can have multiples at a time. On the flip side of that, we have something a little bit bigger, bolder, and more intense. So this is our PAL Juice. It's a 9%er. Very similar the way that we brew it, except we had a whole bunch more malt bar to bump that alcohol percentage up from 5.2 to 9%. And we had
9%.
Oh yes, yeah. It takes a little bit less to get the job done with that one,
I'm glad you're drinking that and I'm not, because I couldn't finish the show if I were drinking that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hopefully, this is my second one too, so we'll see how the rest of the show goes. We had some fun with the hops in this one as well. So we used a couple newer hop varieties, Sultana being a brand new one there. So it really develops these very interesting, unique, different flavors compared to just the one-note citrus notes.
So I don't know Sultana hops. Okay, that is a new one to me.
Sure.
When our brewer is working with these hops and he's trying to figure out the blend, right? I mean, it really takes a whole creative angle of this might work, this might not, right? A lot of experimentation.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, we've talked about how brewing's a science, but it's very much so an art as well. So Dan Helson, our head brewer, and the rest of his team over at the brewery, they really like exploring and playing around and trying new hop varieties because of all the different flavors you can coax out of that finished beer with those different hops. So whereas Life Coach, it's light, it's citrus. This has notes of red berry and papaya and all these other cool flavor profiles from those hops.
Hello.
There you go. Not a bad choice at all.
One of the things I've noticed about your IPAs, Andrew, is that they're, and I said this earlier, they're not as bitter as most IPAs. Take me through how you get them to that point.
For sure, and we think that beer is all about balance, right? So, and also nowadays you're looking at the real beer trends, especially with hazy IPAs, moving away from bitterness and moving much more into lighter, easier drinking. And what it basically consists of is hazy IPAs, not only do they look and appear hazy, but when we're adding the hops to the brewing process is more towards the end as opposed to the middle or the beginning. And what that does is those hops that we're adding, then instead of adding bitterness, add hop aroma, have flavor. Think about almost like spicing a dish when you're cooking. So the beauty of hazy IPAs is they come in such a wide variety of different styles with different hops and at different alcohol levels. So you can really sit back and hopefully enjoy a few of them and hopefully explore all the different varieties of hazy IPAs from Conshohocken Brewing, with our two favorites being Life Coach and PAL Juice.
Explore. Very good. Andrew, thank you so much. Mike, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to everybody. Keith Jones, thank you so much for being part of it. And Blair Listino from Players Charities. Appreciate that. We'll see you next week on What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.